What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the FCS Dynasty here on NCAA 2006, and also featuring that next mod as well, as we got 8 games on tap here once again here in week number 4, as we're also seeing some conference debut games today. So should be an exciting episode. I hope you guys are excited for it as well. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new, as we jump into our very first game that we have here in this week number 4 episode. We got Nicholls State, who is making their very first appearance in the AP Top 25. They're going to take on the Terriers of Wofford, which, if y'all have any idea how Wofford has been in this series, they are basically the Vanderbilt of this conference. But that being said, though, Wofford's first drive was a very methodical drive, right? It ends up taking nearly the entire first quarter, and when Nicholls State finally got the football, Deuce Randolph is going to put the ball on the ground. You absolutely hate to see it. So Wofford actually jumps out. They should jump out at least to a very solid lead, a chance to make this a 2-score game, but the fullback fumbles the ball as well, and Nicholls State is going to recover with it. So that was a huge possession for the Colonels, as that was going to prevent it from being a 2-score game. But we'll see if this Nicholls State offense can get going, relying on Frederick McNair, the sophomore at quarterback, your custom player, throwing to yet another custom true freshman, Speedy Woods, who had one-on-one on the outside. And when you got one-on-one on this talented young freshman, that's simply barbecue chicken right there. So for the first time today, the Colonels are in the red zone. We'll see what they do with this red zone opportunity, as McNair fakes the pitch to the left, breaks a couple of tackles, and Nicholls State is going to get right on the board. Touchdown, Nicole, as Frederick McNair gets the Colonels on the board. And it actually is going to tie things up at 10 apiece. At least it should, right before we go into the halftime locker room. This should be the final play of the first half. It ends up being muffed originally, but we see some solid blocking here at the same time, and that man is going to be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown Terriers. And Wofford, of all teams, is currently ahead going into that halftime locker room. Now, jumping into the fourth quarter, Wofford still hanging on to the lead. A true chance for them to actually go ahead and win this game right now. Are we going to get an upset here in conference play to start this episode? It certainly looks like that as of right now, because Wofford is going to force yet another turnover. And now 1:25 left to play. Nicholls State did get the football back, but they need to score on this drive, and Speedy Woods just might deliver. Frederick McNair with a great pass, as that's going to be a first down for the Colonels. But look at this. We got a flag on the play. It's going to be an unsportsmanlike penalty, because it's going to be, he celebrated a little bit too long. So they had a 1st and 25, but still converted that anyways. And McNair, with less than 1 minute left to play here in this entire first half, they are going to take the lead. But is that going to be too much time for Wofford to come down and at least get a field goal? Remember, they just have to get in the field goal range in order to force overtime. We'll see if the Terriers can accomplish that, as we see a drop back looking to the right-hand side, but it's intercepted. And not only is it intercepted, it's also going to be taken to the crib. Touchdown, Colonels. And that should put a dagger in this one, as that was just a great job reading the flat and jumping on that route. In Nicholls State, they had some trouble there. They had me in the first half, I'm not going to lie, but the Colonels are going to win this game. They win by a final score of 30-17. Wofford, who are still, by the way, still kind of looking for their first win in conference play this series, they put together a pretty solid fight. So maybe that's to say Wofford is going to be an improved squad here in year number 3. This is just a second game that they played this year. But Nicholls State will remain undefeated as they search for their first FCS playoff appearance. So now we jump into the second game of this episode now. A little bit of a later game with a 3:30 kickoff as we got Montana going all the way across the country, taking on the Rams of Rhode Island. Now, Rhode Island, we did end up seeing them, I believe it was in week number 1. They ended up winning their first game of the season, but, you know, this is going to be Rhode Island's first top 25 opponent, and Montana should win this game, led by their new quarterback, Travis Slaughter, who did replace Derek Keefe. And speaking of Slaughter, we'll see him try to throw over the middle of the field and finding his receiver early. So a nice throw for the young quarterback as he continues his somewhat hot start to the season. We'll see if he can build off that here on the inaugural drive of this game, but instead, it's going to be intercepted. The linebacker, Michael Dodd, is going to pick this off, and how about that to start your first interception of the season, going to be on national television. And Rhode Island seeking that hot start, and that is exactly what they're looking for in order to, possibly pull an upset here. They have been known to do that. They gave UMass some trouble last year. And look at this. We might have the same thing. Carlos Chewick, the quarterback. The quarterback was able to get loose off of that option play. It seemed like Montana never looked like they've defended the option before in their entire life. And now, in scoring position for the Rams, Chewick looking to pitch it out to the outside, and the running back gets it into the end zone. Touchdown, Rams. And Rhode Island pulls ahead early, 10-0. Uh-oh. Might be time to get those upset alert bells going now, as they'll go ahead and kick things off back to Montana. And Montana, they are certainly going to need a spark, I will tell you what. And they might get one right here. No, it's fumbled. It's actually fumbled instead, and Rhode Island is going to recover. They do end up with a field goal, but after a free and out by this Montana squad, another chance for Rhode Island to extend the lead here. And I don't know how they're doing it. Just Rhode Island just seems like one of those teams where they play a lot better in gameplay than they do in simulation. It's really surprising to me how Rhode Island is done in the games that we've actually have featured them in episodes. It's just a really interesting thing to see. Something that, I'm really curious about. And then, of course, as I'm talking about, they fumble the football, and maybe this will be what Montana needs to get back into the game. 53 seconds left here in the first half, but also facing a 3rd and long. Trying to pick up the first down here as Slaughter facing some pressure. He's going to fumble the football, and Rhode Island is going to recover here to put an end to the first half. 13-0 lead for the Rams of Rhode Island as they continue to look strong. They got a surprising shutout here against his Montana squad. We'll see if Travis Slaughter can change that, but man, talk about an embarrassment in the first half, as Slaughter does end up dropping a dime on that out route. Good Lord, was that a tight hole to hit it through. As now, 1st and 10 from the 27. Going to try to hit the halfback draw there, but it's going to be absolutely blown up like a Christmas tree. And now 3rd and long for the Grizzlies, as Slaughter being asked to make a big play, looking downfield and finds his receiver. And finally, Montana is going to get themselves on the board, one-on-one on the outside, and that safety could not get over in time. Unfortunately, they do not elect to go for the 2-point conversion, so it is still a 2-score game, but we'll see how long that lasts. Rhode Island, they are definitely doing what they want to accomplish here in this game plan. Take the air out of the football. They are dominating the time of possession right now. And if they can score here in this 4th quarter right here, then that is going to really put Montana in a tough spot. And sure enough, Rhode Island is going to do exactly just that. Touchdown, Rams. And this home crowd is absolutely going nuts right now. Oh my goodness gracious. Rhode Island, they're actually going to end up winning the football game. They win 23-7. That ends up being the final score. In Montana, who comes in as a top 20 team, number 14 team in the nation actually. They are going to go down, so we'll see how much they drop Montana in the AP top 25, simply because Rhode Island, they weren't exactly ranked that high going into this game, but it looked like they were the team that was in control for the vast majority of this game, and that does end up showing here on the scoreboard. So we've seen a couple of really competitive games so far, and hopefully that does continue throughout the episode. But first, let's have our first studio update of week number 4 as we check in on some notable scores around the FCS, starting with your guys as custom coaches all the way back in year 1. Coach Kirby just continuing to struggle right now. His Morgan State squad now 0-4 after a 48-10 loss to the Akron Zips, who do improve to 3-1 on this season. But Coach Benfield making the most of the NCAA sanctions against Western Carolina right now, as the Catamounts win big against Mid-Tennessee State 40-13. As for Eastern Michigan, they will go ahead and get themselves back on track as they win their second game of the season, beating a winless Columbia squad 32-14 to help retain that number 15 ranking that they currently enjoy in the AP poll. As for South Carolina State, they will also bounce back after they suffered a loss in overtime to Jackson State. They do win the Carolina Classic this year in year number 3 as they narrowly beat North Carolina A&T State by a final score of 15-10. As for Rice, they will also keep themselves in the top 25 as of right now, as they improved to 2-0 after beating Towson in Conference USA play 23-19. Towson will take their first loss of the year. SMU, however, is not going to be so lucky, as they might likely fall out of the top 25. They lose 31-28 in this one as SMU falls to 1-2 against the Tulane Green Wave. UCF, however, does not have the same problem as they take care of business in Conference USA action, beating Northeastern 28-15 to improve to 2-1. However, that being said, the defending national champions do end up taking their first loss of the season. They went on the road against Florida Atlantic and lose by a final score of 26-21. Eastern Carolina, however, will look to get into the top 5 after an impressive victory on the road, beating a winless Ewan squad 41-5, one of the biggest margin of victories that we've seen here in week number 4. But most of the games that we got going on are going down at nighttime, and we got a really interesting one here. Number 4, North Dakota State going on the road to take on an up-and-coming Jackson State squad, who just finished pulling the upset on South Carolina State in the previous week, which, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, thoughts and prayers out to Jackson, Mississippi, by the way. They actually have a legitimate water problem, so, just to make y'all aware of that, making sure that everyone in that community is all good. But going back into the action, though, North Dakota State is going to start with the football, as AJ Ferguson's going to line up. He's going to do a little bit of option action and gets it out to the outside, and Anderson able to get some good yardage off of that, as Jackson State, they have not really seen an option attack like North Dakota State's here in this season, so they are being tested right now, but that doesn't mean that they can't throw the football either. And oh my goodness, how about this pitch and catch right here? You absolutely love to see it. Is now a chance for the Bison to jump into the end zone, and they will take a quick 7-0 lead. Methodical drive as well for the Bison, as that drive took almost half of the first quarter. And not only that, Jackson State, they end up going 3-and-out on the next series, which is really a recipe for disaster when you're playing against an option team, because what these option teams are very capable of doing is that they are more than capable of wearing you down. And here we are in the first quarter, and we're seeing that to a degree. Ferguson and company finding plenty of holes in that defense. As now, 1st and 10 from the 24-yard line. We'll see if they can go. Hand it off once again. Will be another running play. Sure enough, it's a toss to the right. Anderson, one man with the beat, and he does no shot of catching him. Touchdown, Bison. Make that 14-0 here, as the blocks were perfect, and Anderson just went out there and do the rest. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on this Jackson State offense here, as Jackson State, having some problems with their offensive line. Finally got a pass off in spite of the pressure, but maybe you should have just accepted that sack, because we got ourselves an interception on our hands. That's going to give the Bison, who have had no problem scoring in this game already, that is going to be picked off. And that is going to allow the Bison, once again, starting this drive basically in the red zone, 21-yard line. And that's just too easy for North Dakota State right now. 21-0 lead we are noticing at this moment, and we still have 3 more quarters left to play, guys. We'll see if Jackson State can turn it around, but man, it is not looking good at the moment. As we get in towards the end of the first quarter, we see Ryan Morris trying to get it out to the outside, but that's intercepted as well. A touchdown, this time for Marvin Williams, playing that defensive back position, and probably one of the easier pick sixes that he's going to have. Look at all of his space that he has out on the outside. Once he makes that interception, as long as you're not Daniel Jones and trip over yourself, he was going to score 100% of the time right there. And that defensive intensity is still going to continue here in the second half, or second quarter, I should say, as they are just really brutalizing and just demolishing this quarterback right now. Still, Ryan Morris is in the game, though, trying to make something happen, but this is not Jackson State's day today. I don't know what they did against South Carolina State, but whatever they did, they have done none of that, as that is going to be another pick six for the Bison. That will make it 35-0, and it gets worse. Another red zone opportunity for the Bison, their 5th time in the red zone today alone, and they're going to cash in 5 for 5 on red zone opportunities to go with it. 42-0, and at this point, Jackson State trying to run out some of this clock before they go into the halftime locker room. One of the last notable plays of the first half, it's Mike Sapp who gets an easy touchdown in the return game. It makes it 49-0. They almost got the 50 burger in the first half. Absolutely insane, criminal stuff right here, as the Bison are going to pull this win really convincingly, 86-0. They came pissed. So we go ahead and see yet another team that is trying to be on the rise right now. We got the Samford Bulldogs playing host to the Dartmouth Big Green, by the way, representing for that Ivy League, as we see both teams entering the field now. Now, Dartmouth has not really done much in this series thus far. They are in the bottom 10, but we will go ahead and get a nice little look at Asante Randolph Jr., one of your guys' custom prospects, starting at that running back position. As we'll see Dartmouth start with the football to begin this game. We'll see if Dartmouth can get off to a hot start, but instead, it ends up being intercepted, and he's going to high step his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Samford, as Adrian Battle did not have to fight for that interception very hard, as he just read that quarterback like a book right there. Elite reaction ability right there. As now, Asante Thomas, he's the quarterback for Samford, and he will take some snaps now after a Dartmouth free and out. We'll see what this Thomas guy can do. One of the low-key more mobile quarterbacks, as Thomas, he can also throw it too, and finds a receiver inside the 15-yard line. Ashton Hines with an absolute strike that will allow Samford their first red zone opportunity of this game. It's really surprising to say. We haven't seen Samford in the red zone, but that's all good because Asante Randolph Jr. is going to finish this drive. Touchdown, Samford. The custom recruit is going to get his hands into the end zone. And it's a dominating game so far for this Samford squad. They're going to take an early 17-0 lead here. A good lead for this Bulldogs football team, as we'll see if Dartmouth has anything in the tank as they go free and out once again. So really a lot of pressure on this defense, and Ashton Hines making them pay for it. There's that mobility that I was talking about, even breaking a tackle there too. Ashton Hines, dangerous man right there. Touchdown, Bulldogs. And Samford once again getting some more points on the board. Looking a lot like the previous game we saw in this episode. but doing it in different ways. I'm really liking Samford and what they're doing this year. They are bringing up quite balanced attack, actually, and Dartmouth just has no idea how to handle it. Going to try to get a big play downfield, though. They do end up getting that, and that will get this. That's actually Dartmouth's first down the entire game so far. Like, it took almost a half to accomplish it, but they finally don't have to deal with 3 and outs. You love to see it. We'll see if they can end it with some points, though, as they try to throw towards the end zone, and it's going to be caught. Touchdown. The Big Green gets some points on the board, but they are actually going to go ahead and rock with this 2-point conversion, though, and that will, they tried it. They did actually try it, and it ends up being no good. So it still ends up being a free possession game, 24-6 being your score at this point, as they go ahead and kick off this football. But wait a minute now, Dartmouth, they might have a little bit of spark right here, trying to get back into this game, as we see this tailback trying to find some space, but forgets about the football in the process. That's the last thing that you really want to see right now. A turnover like that, when you have a chance to come away with some points, not it. That is not it right there. But 2 minutes left to play here in the first half. Ashton Hines, he's going to deliver a strike once again to the right-hand side, and that is just through that right through a needle, as that is an incredible throw. Look at this angle from Ashton Hines. Double teamed. It still doesn't matter, though. Samford really taking control in this game as well, making that 31-8 at the moment. As we're getting to the last couple minutes of this first half, Dartmouth is trying to get something going, but that's going to be another turnover for them. Their 3rd turnover of this game, of this entire game so far. It's tough to, it's a tough pill to swallow, that's for sure. But that being said, though, we'll see if this defense can get it together a little bit. We'll see what happens. There's a minute left in this first half. We'll see what Ashton Hines can cook up. Shotgun formation on the 40-yard line. Going to try to scramble right away, and just has nowhere to go with it. So Samford, they do have to go ahead and take their very first timeout here in the first half. Kind of a use it or lose it. You know, no benefit of carrying that 3rd timeout with you into the halftime locker room, but no harm, no foul, though. Asante Randolph Jr. going to finish the drive once again. 2nd touchdown today for the young freshman running back, as that will make it 38-8 with still a few seconds left to play. We're going to get one more chance at the end zone. We'll see if Ashton Hines can send it. He's going to send it. Is it in the end zone? And it is. So a perfect way to execute that 2-minute drive. It was already bad for Dartmouth, but man, did it definitely get worse, as Ashton Hines actually took a shot as well, so it wasn't even terrible pressure from Dartmouth. But that being said, it really wasn't enough, though. So here we go. Ashton Hines, 2nd half, looking for that 50 burger. Just might actually come with it here, as that ball was thrown over in the middle of the field. Basically, hey, we're going to throw it up. I'm going to trust my receiver to make a play, and sure enough, that receiver did end up making a play, as Hines now 1st and goal from the 3. Randolph looking to get into the end zone. Touchdown, Bulldogs, as Samford now makes it a 50 burger here, and it is an absolute rout. Samford continuing to climb in the AP poll, winning their 2nd game of the season of 2, winning 59-8. So up next now, we have the number 5 team in college football, Southeast Missouri State, going on the road to take on the Southeastern Lions, who come in unranked, but they had some hype in year number 2. Just things did not go their way, unfortunately. But now they get a chance to prove themselves, taking on a top 5 team in non-conference play. But the Southeast Missouri State team, they do have some weaknesses for sure. They are not the best offensively, so they can get some scores up against Southeastern. We might have ourselves a game, and sure enough, David Brown gets the Lions going here to begin this game. Great reception on the outside, and now in Southeastern territory, we'll see if they can finish here. Brown looks over the left-hand side, throws it up, and it's going to be caught. Touchdown, Southeastern. That's the true freshman Mateo West that gets the first points of this ball game, and doing so against the number 5 team in all of college football. That was good coverage too. That's the crazy part in all of this. You really can't be mad about that coverage whatsoever. But man, this defense, early on at the very least, they are certainly getting punched in the mouth at this very moment. As that was Ken Trill that did end up eventually making the tackle for the Red Hawks. As Southeastern are going to get a little bit trickier. They're going to try to throw it, looking for Mateo West, but it ends up being intercepted by Seth Cunningham, as that is going to end the Southeastern drive real quick. And now Travis Jan's going to get a chance with the football after entrusting the running back to make that pass, but unfortunately couldn't really do much with it, and really not a lot of action there after that. So we hop into the fourth quarter of action here. Southeastern, they still have the lead. It's 13-3, and Mateo West is trying to break this game open. No one's going to catch him, not even the true freshman, Kelly Russell, as that is going to be another touchdown for the Southeastern Lions. Make that 20-3. We have already seen one upset in this episode. Are we going to see a second one here? As Southeastern has to go ahead and kick things off. Red Hawks waiting for the return, as it does. Looks like it can be a returnable kick, and sure enough, it is. And all of a sudden, Southeast Missouri State, they might get the play that they are looking for. The spark plug. Touchdown, Red Hawks. And despite the fact that the Red Hawks have been significantly outproduced here in terms of offensive production, we will go ahead. And this is still a viable game that the Red Hawks can win. It will just really help them right now if they can recover this onside kick. And sure enough, hang on now, we might have a little trouble with it. And it's fumbled. Southeast Missouri State is going to recover. And all of a sudden now, we have ourselves a little bit of a football game. Here, middle of the fourth quarter, Ken Travis Johnson lead the comeback. 1st and 10, following the onside kick recovery, throws a dart that is going to get them into the red zone. And we'll see if they decide to go for the field goal now or get that touchdown. It looks like they want to go for the latter, and sure enough, Johnson on play action gets it out to the tight end in the flat, who gets it into the end zone. Touchdown, Red Hawks. And matter of fact, 3-point game. Southeastern cannot close the door, so the Red Hawks with a chance to rally and win this game. And sure enough, field goal range coming real quick, as that is Lonnie Scott that comes down with the catch. Only his second catch of the day, but that puts the Red Hawks in field goal range, and they are going to entrust this kicker, who made a 43-yard field goal attempt. This is from a similar distance, from 44 yards. Here we go. The snap is going to be made. The kick is up, and it's going to be no good. It's no good. Southeastern Missouri State, they cannot get the football back, and the Lions are going to roar here tonight. They are going to pull the upset on the number 5 team in all of FCS college football. What an incredible job by the Southeastern squad. They tried to blow it. They really did try to blow this game. Let's be 100% real right now. But that being said, though, oh my goodness, was this a great game to watch, especially towards the end, as well as there's Mateo West, shaking hands with some of these Southeast Missouri State guys, showing some sportsmanship, shaking hands with Kelly Russell. They had some battles out there in the secondary today on those deep balls, but Southeastern, they're 2-1 on the year, whereas the Red Hawks of Southeast Missouri State, they're going to take their first loss of the season, and I already know that Coach Ty Bergian, he is not going to be very happy about that, that's for sure. Now, if you thought that game was going to be really good, let me tell you about this game right here. We got the game of the week right now between the number 1 team in college football, the New Hampshire Wildcats, taking on the number 7 James Madison Dukes, who, James Madison, they are just coming off of a pretty surprising loss against Texas Southern, who was unranked, still is unranked, as of the recording of this video, of course, and this game is always important. They're not listed as rivals technically, But that being said, though, I will say that this is really brewing into a non-traditional rivalry game, because whoever wins this game usually does control its own destiny in terms of winning that Atlantic Division crown and ultimately going to the ACC Conference Championship at the end of the regular season. So this game obviously has a ton of implications, not only for conference play, but of course, as always, for FCS playoff implications. And of course, James Madison can't afford to go 1-2 as Montano looking to throw down the left-hand side. He wants it all early, and he's going to get it. Touchdown, New Hampshire. And the Wildcats are going to strike first against this vulnerable James Madison secondary. Montano showing his NFL talent. He throws an absolutely beautiful deep ball. Coverage was not bad, but just really no defense per the perfect throw. But what makes Montano just so frustrating as an NFL prospect, and probably why he might not be a day 1 or day 2 prospect, he's capable of making those big time throws. He has the qualities to be an NFL quarterback, but he's also a gunslinger, man. He's going to throw a lot of interceptions. It does come with the territory. However, as speaking of Montano, he does end up getting another really nice throw over the middle. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. You saw a flash on screen. 3 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. It's been an incredibly slow start for him, but I think he's starting to play a lot better now as his season has gone on, as Montano's going to actually trust the running game, but his running game folds on him. It ends up being recovered in the end zone, and it's going to be recovered by James Madison, who still is looking for their very first points of this game. But shout out to Lee for breaking that ball loose. They do end up not calling that a touchback, though, so on the other end, New Hampshire was able to get a safety on that. And that, you know, if this game, at least in year number 1, it was really close. So if it ends up being close like it did in year 1, you know, watch for that safety to play a role. Let me tell you what. But that being said, Montano on play action, looking to attack deep once more. Double coverage, but it doesn't matter, though. He's going to come down and make that catch anyways. Huge play down the sideline there. And that is going to be a first down for the Wildcats, as they will go into the red zone here. But that being said, not exactly a gimme. You can see why. It's intercepted. And James Madison keeps this thing tight as we get ready to go into the halftime locker room. It will remain 9-0. As Montano will unfortunately throw his 8th interception of the season already. This is just the 3rd game as well. That's the crazy part. But we haven't seen any Stephen Rogers yet. And Stephen Rogers has honestly been shut down. This entire offense has been shut down. But give credit to the defensive effort by the New Hampshire Wildcats. Otis Grip, true freshman. He was actually, I don't know if he'll remain on the Heisman Trophy list, but he is considered a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. He's been making some huge impacts in special teams. He makes one here for the defense as well, as that is number 7 that provides really ideal field position as Wildcats try to pull ahead here, trying to get it into the red zone, but that ends up being overthrown again. That's what the crazy part is about this game in general, is that James Madison, even though they're losing, they honestly should be being dominated, because they are +3 in the turnover margin right now. And that simply has not happened. They are still not only winning, they're not winning, but there's been times where it looks like New Hampshire's been in complete control. We'll see if Stephen Rogers can change that. He tries to roll to the right and just really compromising throw. I don't really know what he was trying to accomplish right there, but let me tell you what, boss, that was simply not it, as Stephen Rogers also going to throw his fair share of interceptions. That's his 2nd one of the ball game. And now here we go in James Madison territory. Montano looking to the right-hand side. He gets intercepted too. And not only that, this time it's going to cost the Wildcats dearly, as James Madison is going to take this thing all the way to the crib. Touchdown, Dukes. And James Madison, all of a sudden, after a couple of field goals too, they're ahead. They have a chance to win this game somehow, 13-9. But last drive, or at least potentially the last chance for New Hampshire to win. And they come through in a big way. Montano going to get this touchdown pass. Going to put them up by a couple of points here, as we get ready to rock and roll, they will decide to, of course, go for that extra point. The extra point, of course, being good. So that does put New Hampshire up by a few points. James Madison, less than a minute left to play. Can Steven Rogers lead a game-winning drive? Potentially, but Anderson going to be lit up like a Christmas tree. And James Madison is going to take their very first time out. As now, 4th down coming up here. Rogers needs it in order to keep his team alive, to prevent the 1-2 start. Rogers looks left. He finds the sophomore custom, Jody Gentry. And how about that, coming at the perfect time as Stephen Terry actually had to come into the game. Rogers ends up being, a little bit on the hurt side, got a little shaken up. But now a chance. They could settle for a field goal around the thin edge of field goal range, but Terry wants more. Terry wants to win this game, and Terry just might get it as well, as that is now Brad Adrazi, the true freshman, that is going to make that catch. And now they got the field goal in the bag, but do they settle for said field goal? Anderson, no, BJ Bowers on the outside, touchdown, James Madison, and with 28 seconds left to play, they are very close to unseating the #1 team in college football. They are seeking that Iron Throne. But Montoya has something to say about it. Quick throw to the outside. Busted coverage with less than 20 seconds left. They will down him inside the 10-yard line. But oh my. How do you blow this coverage? You're trying to play back right now. They decide to press up instead. So I don't know if that's an individual error, if that's a coaching mistake. Coach Montano not feeling that whatsoever. And now, last play of the game right here. A chance to win it for the Wildcats. And it's going to be caught. Touchdown, New Hampshire. And they are going to walk it off here as they go into one of the toughest environments in FCS college football. James Madison usually not losing at home. And they're going to win on the very last play of the game. It was a sloppy game. It was a messy game. But sometimes the best watchable football is sometimes bad football. And that's okay. New Hampshire, they should, of course, remain as the #1 team in the entire land as they beat the #7 team. And we'll see what happens to James Madison. 1-2 starts. Not where you want to be at this point in the season. They're going to have some work to do. So as the sun continues to set here on week number 4, we got to see some more notable scores that recently just came in. Starting with the #6 ranked team in college football, Central Michigan. They went on the road to play against Western Kentucky, and the Chippewas win with relative ease, winning 48-10 in what was a blowout for Western Kentucky. Speaking of those blowouts, we get another one in non-conference play as Stephen F. Austin played host to the Kangaroos of UMKC as the Lumberjacks win 45-14 in order to get their very first win of the season. And then, of course, the Idaho Vandals continue their strong start to the season as they win a close one against Oral Roberts in WAC action. The Idaho Vandals winning 20-13, maintaining their status as a top 25 squad. But usually the games that have the most intrigue get the 9th slot, and we'll see if these next 2 matchups will live up to that billing, as we'll see Maine, who represented the Coastal Division in the ACC last year, in a non-conference matchup against the defending conference champions of the Big Ten, as well as the current #9 team in college football, the Tennessee State Tigers, as we're going to see 2 young quarterbacks go at it here. Flash Williams, the sophomore, going up against Dillian Thomas, the true freshman, as Flash Williams, he's going to get off to a rocky start here, as he is actually going to toss an interception early here, as it looks like Tennessee State, they're going to be provided some A1 since day one kind of field positioning, as it just seemed like Flash Williams did not see that linebacker there. I don't know what happened, but even with that interception, it still remains a pretty tight game, actually. Only field goals for both teams so far. Neither team really taking control, but we might see something a little bit different here as Chris Clark is going to strip the quarterback, Dylan Thomas, and it's going to be recovered by this Maine Black Bears defense. That'll get things set up inside the 10-yard line. We'll see if Flash Williams can finish things up as he drops back under center, finds the tight end, and sure enough, Maine takes the lead here midway in the second quarter. Touchdown, Black Bears, as Flash Williams getting his first touchdown pass of the evening. We'll see if he can build on and add some more touchdown passes in there as we get into the final minute of this first half. Flash Williams trying to lead a last 2-minute drive here. Williams looking downfield. He's got a man, and it's going to be caught. Not a touchdown, but it is going to be a red zone opportunity for Maine as they have a chance to extend the lead before we go into this halftime locker room. As now Williams getting set and ready to go a couple plays later. Williams dropping back. He's got max protection. Drives a ball right where it needs to be. And it's another touchdown for this Maine squad. 17-3 being an early lead for Flash Williams and company. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Dylan Thomas. You know, this offense has not been contested. They have been solid, but they have never been put in a spot like this. They have really relied on their defense. And sure enough, Dylan Thomas having a hard time responding right now as he's going to be intercepted here. So that's going to be Dylan Thomas's second turnover of the evening. And what is already a 2-score game could be extended even further before we go into halftime. It's another chance for Flash Williams, who drops back. He's going to throw it short, and he's going to make a play to fellow quarterback Octavius Raymond James, the backup quarterback, who also plays a little bit of wide receiver. They talked about and really raved about his athleticism, so even though he is obviously not going to unseat the incumbent Flash Williams, they wanted to get him out on the field, and sure enough, they are getting that right now and doing some good things. I mean, we saw Raymond James with that touchdown. By the way, one of your guys is custom recruits too. But that being said, Maine surprisingly dominating in this game. I was not expecting this. If you would have told me it would have been 24-3, I thought it would be Tennessee State all day long. But it hasn't been that way. Matter of fact, Marcellus Wallace, he's going to have a hard time dealing with this tight end as he saw that he had a bigger guy out there than the corner and just took advantage of the situation. So 31-3 right now. Dylan Thomas just trying to get really anything going at this point, but it just has not been it, man. Evan Jenkins, he's gonna pick him off as well. And oh man, upset alert bells, they are ringing hot and ready now. We've already seen at least one top 5 team go down. Are we gonna see a second? 34-3. And if things don't change quickly, I would not be shocked to see backups come into the game at this point. It's been that bad of a game, more so for Tennessee State than Maine playing a good game. It's rough to see, but we will not see these Tigers team go down quietly. They will at least get this special teams touchdown, so at least bare minimum they do get at least one offensive touchdown when it is all said and done. But can they get a second? They're going to need a lot of touchdowns if they want to have any chance of making this even remotely an intriguing game. And right now, Thomas having a hard time delivering as he's going to be intercepted. Once again, Carlos Clark, who was there to strip sack Dylan Thomas earlier, he's going to get a second turnover, this time in the defensive backfield. And that is going to make it barbecue chicken if it wasn't already. So Maine, how about this for a huge surprise? Not only upsetting the number 9 team in college football, but they are also going to dominate the number 9 team in college football. So that is some promising prospects for this Maine squad as they are looking to also make their first FCS playoff appearance here in this series. But man, we're seeing some serious storylines developing, and we're only a few weeks into the season. It's getting me pumped for what the rest of this year has in store for us. Provides me with 2007 college football vibes. As now we jump into the final game of this episode. We got the number 11 ranked Northwestern State Demons trying to remain on demon time as they look to go to 3-0 here in this young season. taking on the Bearcats of Sam Houston State here in SEC Conference play, as these two teams both representing for the SEC West. Whoever wins this game is going to be in the early driving state, the driver's seat, I should say, as we will go ahead and see both teams go ahead and take the field already. And one guy to definitely watch out for on this offense side of the ball is Matt Lewis, who, I don't know why they're showing a different quarterback. It's something that NCAA 06 typically does sometimes. Gotta give it some grace though, the game is 17 years old, but Will Lewis definitely someone to watch out for. And speaking of offense, how about this to get going? The little brother of Miniachi, the Georgia Southern running back. He is playing his college football at Sam Houston State, and he's gonna break a huge run, 54 yards, and it's a touchdown for the Bearcats with a K. And Sam Houston State taking that 7-0 lead. Upsets have really been a theme here in this episode. Are we gonna see that continue, or will Northwestern State buck that trend? Lewis dropping back, looking to the right hand side, looking for, oh my, he got out of it. Oh boy, incredible. Not only does he make the catch in the double team, but he breaks tackles from both defenders and runs his way into the end zone. Sometimes you got to make a big time play, and Matt Lewis, he did just that. Trust his receiver, and that's going to be his third passing touchdown of the game. As Lewis also looking for another big play, this time finding the sophomore preseason All-American Aiden Rose, who is going to come down, make another huge catch downfield. And look at this protection that Matt Lewis has all day to throw. I could have made myself a sandwich back there if I really wanted to, and I'm not the fastest guy either. Northwestern State is going to take the lead and looking to build off of that lead, as well as we got a fumble on the field, and it's going to be recovered by the Northwestern State Demons. This team certainly on that demon time right now. I'll tell you what, that is O'Connor that got the ball loose ultimately, although the Northwestern State offense, they could not do anything with it, unfortunately. So Sam Houston State, they still remain in this game. Only a one possession game, by the way, as look at this, Miniachi, sometimes lightning strikes twice. Touchdown Bearcats. And Sam Houston State nods things up at 14 apiece. They're looking to continue the upset trend, that's for sure, as that is what our score is going to be going into the halftime locker room. But Northwestern State, they do get the ball to start the second half. We'll see if they can take it up a notch as Lewis under center. We'll see if they give the ball out to Bo Arias, the true freshman running back. They do, and he's going to make some huge plays as he gets a huge hole, and Bo Arias is going to pick up a huge run. Been a little bit disappointing of a freshman campaign thus far for the former 5-star, but that being said, he's still doing some special things as he stays in the game for pass protection. Matt Lewis trying to do his thing, going deep downfield, and it's caught. Touchdown, Demons. And Northwestern State will retake the lead there as Sam Houston State. Now we'll see if they can respond right back here. Second half, the lights are on. Who's going to shine like a diamond and who is going to crack? Sam Houston looking to respond, gets it downfield. Hold on now, we got a huge play. Sam Houston tying the game. Yes, sir. Touchdown, Bearcats. And now all tied at 21 apiece here as Sam Houston State and Northwestern State. We got ourselves a fun game, man. Love to see some great games in the late action. If you made it this far, you are in for a treat, that's for sure. As we continue the second half action here, Bearcats got to kick this football away, and it's in the hands, looks like not Bo Arias, as somebody else, but it's the same result though, as Northwestern State is going to retake the lead unless there's a flag, but I am not seeing any flags, and mama, there goes that man. Touchdown, Demons. And back ahead once more, and looking to build off this lead after a Sam Houston State free and out, looking over the middle, tight window, still managed to find a way to thread the needle, as that is Adrian Rossner who is able to hang on and make that catch. He's having 100 yards receiving. A great game for him, as Matt Lewis will continue to drive, this time trying to attack the end zone, looking for the early dagger. But Justin Johnson is going to have some different plans about that, that's for sure, because that's going to be the first interception here of this season. Trying to attack one-on-one, but just didn't put it in a spot where his receiver can make a play. You hate to see it, but Sam Houston State, they go free and out after the interception. So now 28-21 still, and Matt Lewis gets the ball back once again. Eric Washington this time, he's going to make a really nice cut upfield, as that will make it a goal line situation to possibly put this game away early. We'll see what happens as Bo Arias gets the carry, breaks a tackle, and is in the end zone. Touchdown, Demons. Bo Arias, he's a little bit tougher than what he appears. You know, not foreseen as a power back, but definitely showed some serious power there. As sure enough, Northwestern State, they will go ahead and put this game away, and they do end up winning by a final score of 38-21, and this is a good performance for both teams. Now that I think about, you know, Northwestern State, they were tested today. They didn't crack. It eventually looked like a borderline top 10 team. Meanwhile, Sam Houston State, they might be good enough to challenge some of these teams in the SEC and possibly maybe work their way into the FCS playoffs. You never know. Now, before I want to go ahead and turn the next page over to week number 5, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of other top 25 teams that did end up playing in that 8 o'clock slot. Now, the first team that I wanted to talk about was San Jose State. They came in number 23 in the country, except they dropped their first game of the season. They will lose their first game of the year to Portland State, actually, winning 24-20, so an impressive win for the Vikings. San Jose State, meanwhile, will be dropping out of the top 25. As for San Diego State, however, 3-0 overall so far to start the season. Once again, it's a great start as they take on Idaho State, and San Diego State just simply has their way in this one, winning 37-3 in this game. They're going to certainly challenge for that number 1 spot, even though New Hampshire did beat a top 10 team on the road. So we check out that cover of the ESPN Sports Illustrated magazine, and let me tell you, no surprises that the way that game of the week went, New Hampshire and James Madison being on that cover, it was an insane game. We'll see if that is reflected in these top 25 polls, as New Hampshire, they are still hanging on to that number 1 spot thanks to that win, but San Diego State, they are going ahead and closing that gap just a little bit. A 34-point win against Idaho State does that to you. North Dakota State moves up to number 3 after their huge win, and then Central Michigan, they move into that top 5 as well, along with Central Florida. So that is the top 5 as of right now. Eastern Carolina is here as well, number 6 in the country. Northwestern State getting a first place vote, and they're sitting at number 7 after a 17-point win over Sam Houston State. Buffalo, they are top 10 even though they're on bye. Western Carolina is in the top 10. James Madison still in the top 10 as well, but 1-2 so far this year. Granted, they played against some quality teams, but definitely going to have to win out if they want to make sure that their place is secured in the FCS playoffs. As for the rest of the top 20-25 teams, Georgia Southern, for example, they're number 13 even though they're on bye. Kent State falls to number 14 in the country after a 5-point loss to Florida Atlantic. We'll see if that's enough to get them into the top 25 themselves. Same with Southeast Louisiana. After their win against the Red Hawks, they fall 10 spots because of it. As for the rest of this top 25, Akron, New Mexico, Idaho, Samford, they move up 3 spots after a 50-point win against Dartmouth, taking care of business in non-conference play. You love to see that. Nicholls State was given a challenge against Wofford, but they do end up pulling that win as well. Tennessee State hanging on to the top 25 as well, even though they lost really big to Maine. That was a little bit of a head scratcher. But some new teams entering the top 25 though. Montana State is in here now, top 23 in the nation. They're a solid start, 2-0. Montana, Their loss to Rhode Island, they're still in here as well. And then Eastern Illinois, they get that last top 25 spot, number 25 in the entire country. But some teams that are definitely on the door, Southern is in there, and then Towson is also receiving a few votes as well. Now, another thing that I really wanted to highlight is what was going on with the Heisman Trophy race, and Albert Mignachi, obviously on bye, but he is still sitting there number 1 in the Heisman watch as of right now. That being said, we got some guys that are moving upward, some positive trends. Ryan Vaughn, for example, the freshman redshirt, ends up with 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. He is now currently number 2 in the Heisman watch, but someone to definitely watch out for is Otis Grip, true freshman, your guys' custom. He is in here as well. Didn't do much in the return game, but he did have an interception in that win against James Madison. So he's now number 3 in the country because of that. Micah Williams moves up to number 4. He already has 5 touchdowns on the year so far. A great campaign for the senior wide receiver, who is a 94 overall guy. Watch out for him to potentially be a day 1, day 2 draft pick in the upcoming NFL draft. But then we also have a defensive guy in here, an outside linebacker by Chavita Bean, the true sophomore. Having a good year so far. 21 tackles, 12 TFLs, 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles to go with all of that as well. So very good start for this young linebacker. But that will wrap things up here, as next episode we will actually wrap up the first third of the season. So in that next episode we will have the full slate of games, of course, and then not to mention we're going to go through the conference standings, see how everyone's doing at about the first third of the season, who's surprising, who's disappointing, all that good stuff. And like I said before, more FCS college football action. You love to see it. But if you love this video, man, it would really help me out if you smash that like button for me. It will help me out in the YouTube algorithm so that more people can be exposed to FCS college football. Not to mention to leave a comment for me. And of course, if you're brand new to the channel and you like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. We are starting that path to 3K subscribers, man. I would love to try to get there. Hopefully by the end of the year. I would love to see that happen. But with that being said, I am going to sign off for right now. But I hope you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.